This is a step-by-step guide to help you solve TOEFL grammar questions. The guide is based on the most common problems that appear in the structure and written expression sections of the TOEFL test. Each guide is designed to teach you how to recognize the patterns, avoid common traps, and choose the correct answer accurately. Present participle and past participle can either be an adjective or a verb in a sentence. They are part of verb when paired with helping verb, and they are part of adjective when standing alone to describe a noun. In case you don't know, this is a present participle, and these are past participles. When a present participle functions as a verb, it is accompanied by be, such as is, am, are, was, were, be, been, to form progressive or continuous tense. When a past participle functions as a verb, it is accompanied by helping verbs such as has, have, had to form perfect tense, and is, am, are, was, were, be, being, been to form passive voice. Look at these examples. In she is writing an essay, the present participle writing is part of the verb because it is accompanied by is. And in he has eaten lunch, the past participle eaten is part of the verb because it is accompanied by has. When participles function as adjectives, they are not accompanied by helping verbs, and they usually modify nouns. Look at these examples. The boring lecture made students sleepy. In this sentence, boring is an adjective and not part of the verb because it is not accompanied by some form of be. The verb in this sentence is made. The broken window was fixed. In this sentence, broken is an adjective, not a verb, because it is not accompanied by a form of be or have, and the verb in this sentence is was. Can you tell whether it's a verb or an adjective in the sentence? First, the man is talking to his friend. In this sentence, talking is part of the verb because it is accompanied by the helping verb is. Second, the man talking to his friend has a mustache. In this sentence, talking is an adjective, not part of the verb, because it is not accompanied by a form of be, and talking modifies the noun man. Third, the poem was written by Adam. In this sentence, written is part of the verb because it is accompanied by was. Fourth, the poem written by Adam appeared in the magazine. In this sentence, written is an adjective, not a verb, because it is not accompanied by a form of be or have, and written modifies the noun poem. Look at question 1. In this example, we know that the subject is the flowers. And if you think that blooming is part of the verb, you might choose option B or option D to complete the verb. However, these two options are incorrect because blooming is not part of the verb. You should recognize that blooming is a present participle adjective rather than a verb because there is another verb in the sentence, that is, smell. Since this sentence has already had a subject and a verb, we don't need another subject or verb. So the correct answer here is now. Look at question 2. In this sentence, the subject is every satellite, and notice that we already have a main verb follows in this sentence. That means we don't need another verb like orbits or is orbiting. Also, it orbits is incorrect because we already have a subject, every satellite here, so we don't need the pronoun it. What we're missing is an adjective to describe satellite. That's why the correct answer is orbiting. Orbiting is a present participle used as an adjective to describe satellite. It tells us which satellite we're talking about. So the correct sentence should be, every satellite orbiting the Earth follows a predictable orbit. Look at question 3. In this sentence, the subject is all the data. We already have the main verb were analyzed. So just like in the previous question, we don't need to add another verb like collects or was collecting. What we're missing is a word that tells us which data we're talking about. This means we need an adjective. Both option B and option C are participles, but they don't work the same way. Let's compare them. Collected is a past participle and fits here because the data was already collected during the experiment, while collecting would suggest the data was the one doing the collecting, which doesn't make sense because data doesn't perform actions. So, the correct answer is B, collected. All the data collected during the experiment were carefully analyzed. Look at question 4. The subject in this sentence is the articles, but the sentence has two potential verbs, were published and include. Here's the problem. You can't have two main verbs in one clause without a conjunction. The structure here is confusing because it tries to make were published and include act like they belong in the same sentence structure, but they don't. What the sentence is actually trying to say is, the articles that were published in the latest journal issue include groundbreaking research on climate change. So, were published needs to be changed to a reduced adjective clause, published, a past participle that describes the noun articles. So the error is, were published. The correct sentence should be, the articles published in the latest journal issue include groundbreaking research on climate change. Now try to solve this question.